So this is a comparison between the gameplay reveal at E3 in 2013 and the retail gameplay in 2014. So right now we're just heading down to the wall. Things look pretty much the same. You'll see the texture on the tarpaulin there is almost completely nothing, whereas you see the texture there, it's actually got some real texture to it. The sign looks pretty much the same. Now you'll notice here there's a heck of a lot more grass. It's much denser. And the teammate actually gets brought in by a ship there, which is nice to see. But also if you look in the background, in the retail release you can't see the wall. It's covered by fog, so I don't know if the render distance is possibly lower. So you can see the car there looks way more detailed in the retail release. Now they've added a little, I think what looks like a bus shelter right there. So that wasn't there in the gameplay reveal. This all looks very similar. If anything, the retail maybe has a bit more detail. The water coming down looks a lot better. The door walking into here looks pretty much the same. There's way more detail on that wall there, if you'll notice. More detail on that wall as well, I think. So retail has definitely got much more detail inside. Look at the walls, much more texture to them. Now I've recorded mines with the Elgato, so look, the contrast doesn't look as good, but you can get the idea. And of course the gameplay review would have been tweaked to make it look as best as possible. So we don't have this ability to kind of send Ghost off to light the place up. We just have the torchlight that he gives us. So he appears to be far brighter. Shadows look similar. This area looks very similar. We can see these orange lights don't exist. They don't appear to be anywhere. It's quite possible that they got added after. Now Ghost in the gameplay review is far more illuminating. He really brightens the place up hugely. Now the textures on that the red pipe are definitely better in the retail release. And but Ghost, look at how bright Ghost is compared to in retail. You can really see every little bit of detail. Now I wonder if that's because they were limited or not. But anyway, you can see the lights are now on in the retail. Let's just see, let's compare now. It almost looks a little bit newer, not as worn down in the gameplay reveal. So obviously none of this is happening. We're just kind of comparing the same environment right now. So we're now moving on, and this place is definitely different. It looks smaller, being changed to funnel a bit more. Now we'll just skip right through to the next kind of area that we can recognize. So here we are coming into this room now. In the gameplay reveal, this is actually a boss fight that happens in here. Everything is very similar in here, except there's the fallen kind of crates and the fallen orange lights that are around the place. They don't exist. Well, actually there we got some. Now here we go, the boss is going to come out of this hole, which we can see in the retail, but doesn't actually happen. Of course, on the retail part, this is all tutorial leading you up to this part. Now this underground part, under the walkway does exist as well. So I'm just killing off all the bad guys. And now I'm going to try and figure out where he's actually going to stand at the end of this part. So he's still fighting the boss. You can see the resurrection ghost is actually gold. In retail it's blue. Now you can see there's a bit of gold loot on the ground, which of course doesn't happen in Destiny itself. So you've actually got a bit of loot from killing a boss there. So he's got the Thunder Lord, an exotic LMG. So right now I'm trying to figure out where he's standing. I'm looking around, because that's the exit and all that. But I don't realise that he's actually just under the bit where the boss comes out. So I'll find that in a second. So he's having a few shots of his LMG to have a bit of fun. And there I go, I figured it out by seeing that fan he was looking at. So we can see, you can see clearly that green bar under the orange. You can just see it in the gameplay reveal. So the colours have been tweaked there, but more or less the same in everything. It looks like there's a bit more detail above this door in the gameplay reveal. So we're going through the fans here. We can see the grating on the fans earlier in the retail one than we can when in the gameplay reveal. It doesn't actually render until closer. This all looks pretty much the same. And then out to the open world. So obviously it's day in the gameplay reveal and it's night in retail. So now we're fast forwarding through. This guy has just landed. His ship flew over again. That's very nice. I wish that was in the game. And what's going to happen next is we're going to start an event, which actually happens for the most part. It's very similar apart from the tank doesn't turn up. And obviously in the retail this isn't an event. So we can see the towers getting knocked down in the background. There's birds going up in the gameplay reveal, but there's not in the retail one. So the ship comes over, little ships come in, and this starts a public event, which doesn't happen here. This is just part of the story. And it drops off a bunch of guys, which is pretty much the same as what's happening here. Same amount of ships. So you start shooting them with the LMG. I start shooting them with the little assault rifle. We can see the shield on the captain's actually quite a bit different from it is in retail. It's much more like a proper bulbous shield on him. So here comes the tank, which doesn't happen here. And thanks for watching.